I've been driving rigs across the Midwest for nearly 2 decades. You get used to odd hours, bad coffee, and the kind of loneliness that settles into your bones. But nothing ever rattled me, not until the night I pulled into Rest Stop 74. I was hauling fertilizer out of Topeka. The trip was uneventful until Missouri, when my eyelids started sinking like weights. I hadn't slept in almost 30 hours, and I knew I couldn't go much further. So I checked my map and found a rest stop a few miles off Route 19, Rest Stop 74. Figured it'd do. It was around 2:40 a.m. when I pulled in. The place was deserted, just a half-circle lot surrounded by dense woods, a bathroom building in the center, and 3 dead lampposts flickering like dying fireflies. The air was still, not silent still. No crickets, no wind. Even the diesel engine idling sounded muffled. I parked in the last spot, facing the woods, left the engine running for heat and cracked the window. Just a quick nap. Then the radio turned on by itself.
Welcome to Rest Stop 74. Please remain in your vehicle. Do not respond to any knocking after 3 a.m.
The voice was calm, female, robotic, like an airport intercom. I stared at the CB in disbelief. It wasn't even on. I turned the key, killing the engine. Silence returned. I chalked it up to exhaustion and leaned back. At 3:06 a.m., the knocking started. 3 slow knocks. Driver's side door, confident, heavy. I froze, didn't move, didn't breathe. Then it came again. Knock, knock, knock. I reached for the dome light, flicked it on. No one was there. I sat in silence, heart hammering. A full minute passed, then another knock, from the passenger side this time. I twisted in my seat. Still no one. Then I saw it. In the rearview mirror, a shape, standing 10 feet behind the truck. Tall, skin too white. No face, just smooth flesh where the features should be. Its arms were too long, almost to its knees, and they hung limp at its sides. It raised a hand. Knock, knock, knock. I locked the doors and flicked the high beams. The thing didn't flinch, just turned, its whole body rotating at once, like it was on a swivel, and walked into the woods. I should have left, but I didn't, because I noticed something in the reflection of the windshield. Someone was sitting in my passenger seat. I turned slowly, but the seat was empty. Still, the reflection remained. A woman, wearing a gray uniform, pale, wet-looking skin. Her mouth was open wider than a jaw should go, lips split like torn leather. She whispered,
"Don't open the door."
I snapped, threw the rig in reverse and peeled out of the lot like a bat out of hell. Didn't even check for traffic. My hands were shaking so bad I nearly ditched the trailer on the turn. A few miles down, I hit the brakes. The headlights caught a sign on the shoulder. Stop 74, half a mile ahead. I screamed. I had already left. I knew I had, but somehow I was headed right back toward it. I spun the wheel and took the next gravel road I could find. Just had to get off the main stretch, find somewhere else, anywhere else. The road led to an old barn, abandoned. I killed the engine and tried to sleep. I must have passed out eventually. When I woke, the sun was up. My trailer door was open. I never heard it unlock. I climbed out, grabbed a crowbar, and checked the trailer. Nothing missing, but something was added. A small note, yellowed paper, scrawled in ink. Don't fall asleep there again. I returned to the highway and drove straight through to my drop. I told dispatch I'd had a tire blowout, lied through my teeth. Later that night, I tried to look up Rest Stop 74. It doesn't exist. Nothing on maps, nothing in archives. The highway skips from stop 73 to 75. I even asked other truckers on the CB. Some laughed. Some told stories that didn't sound like stories. One guy said he pulled into a rest stop off Route 19 and saw himself sitting in the cab when he came back from the bathroom. He never stopped at night again. And neither do I, because last week, while refueling near Wichita, I glanced at the station mirror and saw my reflection, only it wasn't moving with me. It just sat there, smiling. I've driven all kinds of loads, furniture, produce, even livestock once. But this one wasn't listed on any manifest. No shipping label, no weight recorded. Just an unmarked crate and a set of instructions taped to the side. Deliver to Site 6A. Do not stop. Do not open. Do not speak to anyone about this cargo. It was already loaded into my trailer when I arrived at the pickup yard in Yuma, Arizona. The lot was empty except for one guy, tall, shaved head, sunglasses at night. He didn't talk, just handed me a clipboard with my name already signed. No route, no address, just Site 6A on a blacked out screen that didn't look like any GPS I'd seen. But I took the job. $10,000 for a 600-mile haul, cash, no questions. The moment I pulled out of the lot, the cab got cold. I figured it was the desert night air, but even with the heat cranked up, my breath fogged the windshield. The road stretched empty and straight through black nothing, no towns, no gas stations, just sand, rock, and silence. The GPS blinked slowly with a single arrow, guiding me down stretches of highway I swore weren't on any map. No mile markers, no signs. Then, 2 hours in, I heard a thud in the trailer, followed by scraping. I told myself it was shifting cargo. Happens sometimes if things aren't strapped down. But this was a single crate bolted in place. I checked it myself before I left. The sound came again, louder, like something inside was moving. I pulled over and stepped out, flashlight in hand, and walked to the trailer's rear. The air smelled burnt, like scorched metal and sulfur. The back doors were cold to the touch, ice cold. Then, a whisper, soft, like a child's voice.
Help me.
I dropped the flashlight, and as it clattered and rolled under the trailer, I bent to grab it and saw something I will never unsee. A hand, small, gray-skinned, pressed against the underside of the trailer. Fingers too long, no nails, just slick, webbed digits, twitching. I stumbled backward, scrambled into the cab, locked the doors. I drove through the night, my eyes dry, my fingers locked around the wheel like claws. Every few miles, something knocked on the walls of the trailer from the inside. Sometimes it laughed, a low, wet chuckle, barely audible over the engine. I turned the radio on to drown it out, but all I got was static. My mirrors shook violently, as if something was crawling over the top of the trailer, but I never saw it. I passed a gas station around 4 a.m., lights flickering. A woman stood out front, pale, still, holding a cardboard sign. It read, "Turn back, it's not too late." At 5:12 a.m., the road turned to gravel. Desert scrub gave way to black rock and twisted trees that looked more like bones than branches. The GPS blinked red. "You've arrived at Site 6A. There was no site, just a chain-link gate, rusted shut. Beyond it, a cracked lot and an old missile silo, half buried in the earth. I waited. After a few minutes, a black van pulled up. 4 men stepped out, hazmat suits, no faces. One held out a hand. I gave him the keys. No words. They opened the trailer. I didn't watch. I couldn't, but I heard it. A shriek, piercing. It sounded like every voice in the world screaming at once. My teeth rattled. Blood dripped from my nose. One of the men fell. The others didn't help him, just dragged the crate down a ramp into the silo. I glimpsed a shape, long, thin, dragging behind the crate like a tail. It writhed. Then the silo doors closed. The man who'd fallen never got up. One of the hazmats tossed me a duffel bag, heavy, full of cash. Then they got in the van and left. No goodbyes, no instructions. Just me, the empty trailer, and the long road back. I never filed the trip, never spoke to dispatch. The GPS disappeared from the cab the next day. I tried to look up Site 6A. Nothing. No records. No old missile bases in that region. It's like it never existed. I've been a long-haul trucker for 17 years. Seen the country front to back, coast to coast. The only constant on the road is asphalt and loneliness. But there's one night I don't talk about. One stretch of highway I'll never drive again. I call it the Dead Mile. It was early November, cold enough to numb your fingers if you didn't keep the heat on. I was hauling industrial tools from Cincinnati to Albuquerque. Straight shot, easy money. I left before dusk, planning to make it halfway through Oklahoma before pulling over to sleep. I hate driving at night, but the pay was too good to pass up. Around midnight, somewhere past Springfield, Missouri, I saw a sign I'd never seen before. Mile marker 234, Dead Mile begins. I blinked, leaned forward, thought maybe I was tired and seeing things. But no, the sign was there, black metal with white stenciled lettering. Looked brand new. Dead Mile? I'd driven that stretch a dozen times and never seen that sign. Nothing in the company logs. Just a cold, empty highway ahead. That's when the CB flared up.
If you're hearing this, you're on it. Don't stop. Don't pick up hitchhikers. Don't look in the mirrors after 1 a.m.
The voice was male, shaky. Then it cut to static. I grabbed the mic. Who is this? Repeat your last transmission. Nothing. I reached dispatch on the satellite phone. They brushed it off. Some idiot playing games on a bootleg frequency. Told me to keep rolling. So I did. The first thing I noticed was the silence. Not just outside, inside. My rig runs loud. Engine, fan, road hum, CB chatter, coffee sloshing in the cup holder. But for a full 10 minutes, there was nothing. It felt like I was moving through a vacuum. Then I saw the man, standing on the side of the road, not moving, wearing a faded brown duster, cowboy hat pulled low, face hidden. He had one hand up, thumb out. I didn't stop. 20 miles later, I saw him again. Same pose, same outfit. Then again at mile 241 and 242. At 1:13 a.m., I looked in the mirror. I shouldn't have. At first, I saw myself, normal. But behind the cab, in the sleeper bunk, someone was sitting, not moving. I flipped the cab lights on, empty. When I looked back in the mirror again, he was closer. I could see his hat now, old leather, cracked. His eyes were glowing red, faint, like taillights through fog. I floored it. Didn't even care about fuel economy anymore. My truck groaned as I pushed her past 90, the chassis rattling like it might fall apart. But he stayed with me, always in the mirror. Closer every time I dared to look. At 1:47 a.m., my headlights flickered, just for a second. When they came back, the road was gone. No yellow lines, no asphalt. Just gray mist in every direction, and the faint outline of trees that weren't supposed to be there. Twisted pines with no branches, just bare trunks reaching upward like skeletal fingers. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles bled. A woman appeared on the road ahead. She was barefoot, pale, her white dress soaked like she'd climbed out of a lake. Her mouth opened wide, far too wide, and she screamed as I passed through her like fog. The radio exploded with static, and a child's voice whispered,
You looked in the mirror. He rides with you now.
Then silence again. That's when the rig began to slow on its own. No amount of throttle could stop it. The lights dimmed. I felt the cold crawl up my spine like fingers. And in the mirror, he climbed forward, out of the bunk, into the passenger seat. I never saw him directly, just in the reflections. He never moved, just sat there, hands folded, watching me. I turned every mirror around, cracked the rear view with my flashlight. Didn't matter. Every shiny surface, my coffee thermos, the chrome trim, even the glass of my dashboard, showed him sitting silently, getting closer. At 2:36 a.m., the road reappeared. Mile marker 266, just like that. The fog was gone. The trees were normal again. Asphalt beneath me. Radio came back. No more man. No more woman. No more whispers. I pulled over at the first truck stop I saw, parked under bright lights, locked the cab. I checked with other truckers later, quietly. One older guy said he'd heard rumors of the Dead Mile, a cursed stretch of old road, no longer on most maps. Said if you saw the signs, you were chosen. Said once you see him, once he rides with you, you're never truly alone again. I laughed. Nervous habit. Pretended I didn't believe it. But now I never drive at night. I tape black paper over every mirror. I smash the chrome trim on my dash. Because sometimes, when I pass glass storefronts or glance into puddles, I still see him there, in the passenger seat, smiling, waiting. And sometimes, when I lie in my sleeper cab with the engine off, I hear him whisper in a voice that's half static, half breath.
Keep driving. You haven't reached the end yet.
They say the highway makes a man, or it breaks him. I used to believe the road was my church. Mile markers like hymnals, engine noise, my sermon. But that was before I picked up the midnight haul on Route 77, before I saw what rides the dark when most decent folk are asleep. It started normal enough. Dispatch pinged me for a solo run out of Asheville, heading down to a warehouse in Amarillo. Refrigerated cargo, fully loaded trailer, 10 wheels, diesel full. The paperwork said it was meat, frozen solid. I've hauled worse. The load was ready by 11 p.m., and I pulled out onto the interstate under a harvest moon, round and red like a slit throat. There's something about night driving that always set me at ease. Fewer cars, less chatter on the CB. Just me, the hum of my tires, and the long black ribbon unfolding in my headlights. By 2 a.m. I was crossing into Tennessee. That's when the stench hit me. Rot. Not strong at first, just a whisper of something dead. I chalked it up to roadkill. Happens all the time. But this clung to the vents, snuck under the air freshener, and settled into my nostrils like mold on bread. I pulled over to check the reefer. Maybe the unit had failed, thawed the load, but the thermometer blinked a solid 10 degrees, cold enough to freeze hell over. Still, the smell lingered. Then came the noises. At first, it was soft, like a mouse rustling in the dashboard. Then louder, rhythmic, fingernails across the steel walls of the trailer. I killed the music, rolled down my window. Silence outside. Trees and fog and nothing else. But the moment I cranked the rig back into gear, it started again. Scratch, scratch, drag. I radioed dispatch, asked them to confirm the load again. Maybe it wasn't meat. Maybe someone made a mistake. The line crackled. Then a voice, not the usual guy, just said, "Keep driving. Don't stop. Don't open the trailer. You're almost past it." "Past what?" I asked. No answer, just static. At the next fuel stop, I couldn't resist. I got out, walked to the back, and pressed my ear to the trailer doors. I heard breathing, not mechanical hums, not shifting boxes. Breathing. Wet, labored, like someone with a punctured lung gasping inside. I backed away and lit a smoke with shaking hands. My rig was covered in dust from the road, except for a small, child-sized handprint smeared in red near the handle. I didn't open it. I should have. Maybe it would have saved me later. Around 4:30 a.m., I started hallucinating, or so I told myself. The headlights showed a figure walking the shoulder up ahead. I flicked high beams. No reaction. As I passed, I glanced down and saw a boy, maybe 10 years old, face gray, eyes pitch black, grinning wide. His clothes were torn, wet, and wrong. Like he stepped out of a river that didn't want to let go, and then he was gone, just vanished. The radio hissed again. This time, the voice whispered,
"You're almost there. Don't stop for anyone. Not even if they scream."
I wanted to pull over, report it, call the cops, but I didn't. The next mile marker I passed didn't say 89. It said, "Help." Just fatigue, I told myself. Sleep deprivation. But the world around me started bending. Every road sign was wrong. Every shadow too long. I passed the same billboard 3 times in a row. A red-headed girl advertising apple pies. Her eyes shrunk each time I saw her. By the 4th, her eyes were gone. I thought about ditching the rig, walking away, but my hands wouldn't leave the wheel. I swear they couldn't. Then came the pounding. Bang, bang, bang. From inside the trailer, furious, like fists. Then the screaming louder than the engine. A woman's voice, hoarse and broken, shrieking,
"Let me out! Please! Oh God, please!"
I sobbed. I screamed back, "Who's in there?" But the only answer was more pounding, so hard the whole rig shuddered. My mirrors flickered. For a moment, I saw faces, dozens, pressed against the glass. Pale, eyeless, mouths open in silent agony. At sunrise, the smell vanished. The pounding stopped. The world righted itself. I reached Amarillo around noon. The warehouse was a squat concrete cube surrounded by silence. No workers, no forklifts. Just a single man standing outside in a black suit, clipboard in hand. I didn't wait around. I didn't want to see what came out. I signed the invoice, accepted my pay, and drove to the nearest bar. Drank until I forgot how to speak. That was 3 months ago, and I haven't taken a haul since.